Greetings, traveler. You seem to sport a cocky stride as you practically dance across the halfway point. But ask yourself, is this the reward of experience, or are the mongers of doom merely punishing you for your confidence by prolonging your suffering? Honestly, I don't know how or why you've been allowed to swan through hell on 2 consecutive occasions. It's ridiculous! Last one who came rambling through here on a mistaken adventure had his soul crushed flat before he'd made it past the gates. Crushed flat! You know what? I'll do it. Where are my shoes? No, not my good shoes. Halt, traveler, I'm looking for my shoes. Where did I...
It's Dead Reckoning, Season 2, Episode 5.
I had them last night!
Tonight we're talking about, dogs are mentioned quite a bit, so yeah, let's go with dogs.
Join us.
My week in horror starting off is a film that we saw recently called Heretic, which is an A24 A24 horror film with Hugh Grant as Hugh Grant is like this creepy guy in like this house. Basically, the whole premise of the film is these two Muslim missionaries. Not Muslim, I don't know why I said that. Two Mormon missionaries. They don't recruit. But these two Mormon missionaries, one of them's the Sophie Thatcher from Yellow Jackets, among other things. But the whole premise is they go to his house and they say, "Oh, we can't come in because in like Mormonism they've got to have a woman present." And he's like, "Oh, my wife's in, but she's just in the kitchen." And then like he comes in and he's chatting to them, and then he keeps like saying, "Oh yeah, my wife's gonna come back in like a few minutes," and then. But it's basically like he tricks them into doing this whole sort of like weird sort of test of faith game type thing. You can pretty much, anyone who's seen the trailer knows exactly what I mean, because he pretty much the whole premise of that part of the plot is explained. But it's clear to see that Hugh Grant is now in his creepy sort of weirdo phase. It's like,
I mean, he briefly took a sojourn into that phase in the 90s, didn't he?
Yeah.
Someone would say.
But yeah, he's fully embracing his creepy old man status now. But yeah, without giving too much away from the plot, it's very sort of contained in the whole part of his house. Also, Topher Grace shows up as like the elder Mormon with like a really weird blonde wig. Who's like, "Have you seen two Mormon missionaries?" And Hugh Grant's just like, "Nope, haven't seen any at all." Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Totally not in your basement.
I really want to watch that. Yeah, that's on my list of things to watch.
I might watch that tonight.
It's really good, but it's one of the ones where it's like you don't know where it's gonna be. You don't know where it's gonna be going until like the last 10 minutes, and then you're just like, "Oh yeah, of course, that's what was gonna happen." But it's definitely good to see Hugh Grant flexing his creepy weirdo muscles, and like the whole tension of the film is just like you don't know what he's going to do next. Like 1 minute he'll just be like chatting to them, and the next minute like, "No, I've had enough," just like slamming shit down. You just like the tension of it is mainly the main part of the horror of it. But yeah, it's very good. The other missionary is played by Chloe East, who was in The Fabelmans, which is a Steven Spielberg film, but it's certainly one to check out whenever you get a chance. But moving on from films I've seen, I had an absolutely massive weekend last weekend. So I spent Friday morning at the London Design Museum visiting the Tim Burton exhibition, which just literally is just chock full of all sorts of random things that he's done. He's got a million of his drawings, all sorts of little props and things from his movies, like all the miniature sets from things like the Corpse Bride and Nightmare Before Christmas and Frankenweenie, even like some of the costumes from, I think a lot of the Batman stuff is the Batman exhibition, which is also in London at the moment, which I haven't been to, but it's got Edward Scissorhands' costume. And the thing I liked most about the Edward Scissorhands costume is the little like as with any museum or art exhibition with the little tags that they have, for the exhibits. It said that this was kindly on loan from Johnny Depp. So obviously Johnny Depp's got like the scissors and the costume. He just like was given them at the end of the shoot in Edward Scissorhands, but he's loaned them back to Tim Burton for the exhibition.
That's that I went to the same exhibition. Well, probably not obviously not exactly the same exhibition because it was like in the mid like it was about 2010, something like that. But I saw it at the Museum of Modern Art in LA, and I remember that specifically. It was like they had that little, this is Johnny's. He's lent it to us.
I think this is actually the same exhibition because it's been on like a world tour, and this is like the final stop. So I think it's just been like traveling around the world for God knows how many years.
They must have added stuff to it.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
But I remember going to that exhibit, and it was just like it was just fabulous. So there's all this stuff, and it's like you look at his early drawings and stuff when he was a kid, and they're exactly the same as they are now. They're just like he never developed that drawing style from like weird stick figures that are not quite coloured in.
Oh yeah, he's like he came out of the womb just like drawing really creepy, disturbed monsters. It's like I bet Tim Burton's mum has like pictures, or if she's still alive or not, she had like pictures on her fridge, which are just like, is your son okay?
I'd like to think she had like a separate fridge, just like our mum had a separate Christmas tree, which we were allowed to decorate. I think Tim Burton's mum had a separate fridge in the cellar.
Whereas chest freezer in the cellar.
Yeah, that's where we're going to stick your drawings, Timmy.
He's very artistic.
Yeah, there was quite a lot of newer movies as well. They had a lot of the costumes. They had stuff from Alice in Wonderland, and I think they had Helena Bonham Carter's like Queen of Hearts costume, and then they had what do we call it? Christopher Walken's Headless Horseman costume, and that was absolutely massive. Like you think, oh yeah, like Christopher Walken's a tall fella, but then you see his like Headless Horseman costume with the boots and that, and you're just like, he's fucking massive.
Amazing how they got him to fly in that Fatboy Slim video.
I know, yeah.
With how heavy he is.
They just use like lime green balloons so they can just edit it out.
The thing about Christopher Walken is as well, there's compilations on YouTube, and I've got more to add about me Week in Horror in a minute, but this is a bit of a sidetrack. But if you go on YouTube and you look up any other celebrity talking to Christopher Walken, every single conversation that he's ever had with another celebrity is absolutely batshit insane. Like the stuff where it's like he's just talking to people about. He's like, yeah, if you could have a characteristic of an animal, what would it be? And he's like, oh, I don't know, Chris. What would you have? And he goes, have a tail. Definitely have a tail. And like, there's more than one celebrity that he's just decided that he's gonna like discuss about having a tail. It's like. Does Crystal Walken really want a tail or something?
For balance.
I go, would you rather be able to fly or have a tail? That's what I got out. And he goes, a tail, of course. I go, you'd rather have a tail than be able to fly? He goes, you could always get on an airplane with your tail.
As someone who hates small talk, I can totally relate to that because I often make it very weird in work when people, you sat around the lunch table and everyone's like, so have you got any plans for the weekend? And I'm like, would you rather have if you had wings, would you rather have feather wings or skin wings like a bat? And they're like, I don't know, I was going to go out for a meal this weekend. Yeah, but back to the wings question.
Stop dodging the question.
Stop dodging the question, Linda, and answer me.
Yeah, there's like half a dozen conversations with Christopher Walken just talking about wanting to either have a tail or just absolutely batshit insane, like rambling. Like that's all he does in the makeup chair. He just absolutely tries to like make people as uncomfortable as possible. But yeah, the Tim Burton exhibition certainly has a lot of random things. It was in the Design Museum, and it was absolutely boiling, and secondly, it was absolutely packed. There were just like a million little like goth kids with their parents like going around like, hey, look, there's Jack Skellington. You like him, don't you? It's like in the mini Wednesday costumes. Like this Wednesday, they got a school uniform and the ball gown. I wanted to get some merch, but like, firstly, it cost a fortune, and secondly, I had like a single backpack as like my like traveling thing because I was there like on my own. So I was traveling for like 24 hours to get back. I was like, I'm not buying anything like that. But they had the pop-up Edward Gorey like Dracula playset, and I was like, oh, I could well have that. But I was like, I'm not gonna take that back.
Playset is such an unbecoming word for someone approaching their 40s. It's my playset. Actually, don't touch it. Don't take it out of the box. It's worth more than if you just leave it in the box.
To be real, I would have that out of the box the minute it would happen. I don't leave nothing for display. Me, I'm not particular. I'm out and I'm on the floor with that and some scissors and PVA glue. There's absolutely no messing
Oh,
about.
I'd love to have Jed round for Christmas Day.
Look at him excitedly. Well, we're both sat on the settee, just kind of looking at each other, going, "Oh, bless him!" And he's on the floor, going, ripping the paper off. Oh, wow! Can I get it out now?
I'm getting down off the couch, like, oh, play Scale Electrics with you, lad.
I'd be like trying to beat the score on Bop It with the kids. Like, twist it, pop it, spin it.
Long after the kids are bored, it's just Jed in a corner going, "Bop it, twist it."
Did you ever see that there was a thing as well on TikTok? Somebody made a sadistic bucket and like all the bits on it were just like knives and like razor blades. He's like, spin it, flash it, stab it. It's like, what's happening here? But yeah, as to not take up too much of the time on the My Week in Horror, I also went that evening. I went to see Bowen and the Club of Gore at the Union Chapel, which are like a
well done
dark jazz band. They're on Ipecac Records, but they very rarely come to the UK. The last time I saw them was in probably about 2015 in Manchester. They just did one night, but this time they did 2 nights at the Union Chapel in London, so I had to go to at least one of the nights. And they play some of like the darkest and deepest like gloomy jazz music, and their interactions with the audience are so hilarious because they're completely German, and they're from a really rural part of Germany, and they don't really speak much English. And the main saxophone player, who's the main guy, he's the only one who will speak to the audience. And like anytime he speaks to the audience, it's really like broken English and these like really sardonic, like sort of deadpan things, because we are both in the Club of Gore. We play jazz and we will play it for you now.
electric.
Yeah, it was really good. It was like, we do not come to the UK very often. After Brexit, it is very hard to get a visa.
Whoa.
There's your front man.
It's like a jazz band fronted by Werner Herzog. Who's in a really
That's literally what I was about to say. That sounds like Werner.
It's funny, I was just watching, we were just watching Parks and Rec before this, and it reminded me of where April and Andy go to buy the house from him. And he says, I want to move so I can be closer to Disneyland.
After 47 years living here, I decided to move to Orlando to be closer to Disney World.
The only thing that would compel me to get married is if Werner Herzog started being like an officiant at weddings. In the knowledge that life is just a trek to the grave. Regardless, do you promise to love him forever? Unlikely as it seems.
They played an album like start to finish, and they said at the beginning, we will play our record Patchouli Blue. This is the first song from that album. And then they went all the way through the album. They went, we have one more song left on the 11-track album. We are doing 2 encores today. Yesterday we did 3, but today we will do 2.
I love this. I love this German efficiency. I absolutely love it.
Exactly. You have no trouble getting an Uber home from that, would you?
No way.
I'm glad you said that, Kirsty, because this is the point of his efficiency. He said for the encore, when they were about to start the encore, he said, I know you have all been to concerts before, but we will not be walking off the stage and then coming back onto the stage for the encore for the purpose of wrapping things up in a timely manner. We will be staying on stage and going right into the. I was like, yeah,
that's my perfect gig.
considerate.
My perfect gig. And the Cribs do that. To be fair, my favourite band, the Cribs, do that. They get to the end, they're very like no nonsense Wakefield people, and it's like, we're not going off stage. We'll just carry on. This is encore. Literally, we'll say that. This is encore. 1, 2, 3, 4.
But it's like it's the most moody like Twin Peaks jazz, but it happens to be played by the most deadbeat comedian, or the most like deadpan comedian. But yeah, it was an absolutely amazing venue. Union Chapel in Islington's absolutely amazing. It was absolutely boiling though, and it was. Church pews are like really hard to like sit on for a long period of time. I just think they want you to be.
That's what they're designed for as well.
Yeah. Stuff motherfucker.
Exactly.
But yeah, and I rounded up the trip to London by visiting this a serial killer, the expedition, so the exhibition, which is like a. I know, yeah.
It's gonna be a lot of killing.
Get in there, but it's a lot of artifacts that were owned by serial killers. A lot of the stuff in there is a lot of letters, but there was a lot more replicas than I thought. I thought a lot of it was going to be like the real stuff. It starts off strong though, because they have the Dear Boss letter from Jack the Ripper, like the actual letter that was sent to Scotland Yard. They have like a couple of things from Ed Gein. They have like a skull that was used as an ashtray. They don't have his any of like the random clothes they had, but they have like a random thing that he made for somebody while he was in a mental hospital, which is like a necklace made out of like 2 random bones. It's like you'd think while he's actually in a mental hospital, he'd be like, yeah, maybe don't play with
no
them
more bones, Ed.
Not
Who's giving Ed bones?
Where'd you get those bones?
Don't encourage him.
The thing is, though, they had like Ted Bundy's car like all over the adverts, and then you get to the thing and it goes a replica of the Volkswagen Beetle that Ted Bundy owned. It's like, have you just got a Volkswagen Beetle that's the same colour and the same make, and then just like put it on the show on the thing?
I suppose he used the car in the crimes though, didn't he? So like, you know, I guess they won't let him have the original one.
Guess a lot of the originals they wouldn't let out of evidence for.
Yeah,
for that,
it's like there's probably like still missing persons who are linked to Bundy, so maybe they've kept the car. Like,
I imagine it was like quite short-sighted by the people who decided to open this thing. Oh, we can't. Oh.
One of my favourite things that was there, like a lot of people ignored this, but it's if you're like me and you're like rock and metal and punk music, you'll really be into it. It was a letter from John Wayne Gacy to Gigi Allen, and I was just like, this is like the most fucked up conversation that would ever be. It's like a typed letter to him from the prison, and it's like, hey, once in a while when you're coming down, okay, weekends are better than days. Either way, you can decide. Go on calling you. I can make collect calls any day of the week from 8 p.m. to 1 from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. And he's just like telling him. He goes, "Hey, have fun on tour, you dirty dog." Like, telling him about all this stuff. I was like, what sort of friendship is that? It's just like the most insane punk rocker and that murderer keeps loads of people in his basement.
Maybe he was hoping he was literally a murder junkie.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. One of Charles Manson's guitars. They had like Dennis Nielsen's glasses, and he had a photo and it goes pictured. Said glasses. It's like, thanks for that, music. Like, had a picture of him, and then the rest was just like a bunch of like random letters. Like they had one of the Zodiac killer's letters, and they had a replica of like a drawing that Jeffrey Dahmer made that he was gonna like what he was gonna do with his body. So like maybe don't make that.
Was it a skull? Was it a skull altar?
Yeah, they had literally they remade that for the thing. They also had Arwin Mavis's fridge and freezer. But it's like I want to know how who's like sourced all this stuff. It's like I get that it's a museum
complete with Tim Burton's drawings.
That's been
I know, yeah. Yeah, they had a bit as well. They had inspired. I didn't really take many photos going through this bit, but it was like inspired by serial killers, and then it had like a bunch of horror merch. But then they had like they had like a Jason mask signed by the actor who plays Jason. It's like, have you just been to Comic-Con to get items to the serial killer?
That sounds very much like, hey, there was no Kane in Citizen Kane. The mug from Heartbeeps, you know, when they get desperate in a museum.
In fairness, that's literally what all this museum was. It was just like knife that was used in prison once by Eileen Warnock. But they had some really some of the stuff that I didn't take photos of that was in the museum was some of the really exploitative stuff that was obviously done from like murderbelia websites and stuff. They had one where it was like a real life swatch from the tie of like some like random murderer. I was like, okay. It's like, oh, they had a piece of the wallpaper from like 25 Cromwell Street. I was like, who's got the wallpaper? Are they going around like cutting off bits of the wallpaper to like sell on the black market?
I like the idea of like a police officer going in there and like investigating all these crimes in Cromwell Street and going, that's the exact type of wallpaper my wife was going on about that she wants in the back room. I'm just going to grab it. Is this the one that kind of like this? She's like, yeah, that's kind of the thing. Where's that? Oh, never mind. Where'd you get it though? Never mind. No one's ever going in there again.
Is it a bit that doesn't have the blood on it?
You got to the end of it as well, and these had like a book which had all the like a breakdown of all the items that they had. They were there where they had like the little blurbs on the side. They also sold like merch as well, and I was like, I'm not buying any of that. That's like in a horrifically bad taste. They had like mugs and fridge magnets and shit. It's like, why do I want a fridge magnet of Richard Ramirez? It's like if he like sexually
he would love
old
that.
ladies.
Ramirez would love that. He was such a self-publicist, wasn't he? He'd literally go in and go.
Are.
He'd literally go in and like try and kill someone and be like, I'm Ramirez, you know. It's like, right. Like Dillinger used to do that. It's like, hey guys, I'm not going to kill you, but I'm Dillinger. It's like, all right, mate.
Pew, pew.
Yeah, pew, 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 yeah. Do you want to take a picture?
He brought his own camera. No, I'll send you the photos.
I've just set fire to everyone's mortgage paperwork. Let's have a party.
Surf's up, everyone.
This isn't the 1950s. It won't be the 1950s for another 30 years.
That's what I want on my tombstone. I want it to say, surf's up, everybody. And underneath, John Dillinger. Just a quote. I just want to confuse people for eternity. What's she got that on there for? You never said that.
But yeah, as I came out of the serial killer exhibition, though, it's in like this place in London called the Vaults, which is in Westminster, and it's all like a lot of street art. It's like down this like big long tunnel, and like loads of parts of the tunnel were filled with like influencers doing like photo shoots or like dances for TikTok with like things set up on their like tripods and that, and I was just like, yeah, I'm glad I wasn't born like 20 years earlier. But I'm just gonna go jump off a bridge into the Thames. Overall, yeah, my week in horror was a lot of wandering around London, a lot of weird, crazy items and drawings and things, and yeah, that was pretty much what all I got up to, and I'm still knackered.
It's a pretty good week in horror, Jed.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Mine's shit compared. It was already shit, and now it's even worse.
I was going to say, I hate to be the person who has to follow that. Kirsty?
Oh, God. All right. Are you ready for some tenuous links to horror? Well, I have been very busy because I went on a 3-day residential trip from work back to York, where I'd only just been. So I was like, and I spent the whole time just going, I can't believe it was this busy last week, and it's dead. It's dead. I'm taking loads of pictures just of streets with no one on them, going, look at this, to Lewis. Like, look at this. There's no one here. Like, really, the concept of a half term being busy really struck me for the first time. I've been teaching for like 20 years, and I was like, it's dead this week. Like, yeah, it was half term last week. You should know this. And so I went back to I went to the Aesthetica Short Film Festival. So we watched a lot of films. They don't have a specific horror Strand. But they do have,
Ew.
I know, yeah. But they do
Not
have
like
their,
a ghost, like a
like a boot,
boom.
yeah. But they do. I suppose there was loads of school kids like on trips there, so I suppose that if they do have anything that's like a bit more risque, it'll be on it later at night. But in the drama section, we went to a special screening, which was like in a random university like lecture hall. And because it was supposed to be just for our group, which ended up being 50% smaller than it was supposed to be. And so there was just like and then 3 got lost. So there was just like 6 of us sitting in this giant room. Yeah. 3 got lost.
In charge of these people?
Oh, they're 18. They just do what they want. It's fine. I'm just like, we're
They
going here.
signed their waivers.
They literally, I had all of their over 18 consent forms in my pocket ready to go if a policeman came.
They'll turn up dead eventually.
I'll find them somewhere. We
Drowned,
went to
was
this and there was the screening we went to was like, the problem was what they'd done is that they'd like put a load of films together on a kind of theme, but it just made it look like all the films were copying off each other. So it was like you were watching them going, that's the same as the last film. Like, and I'm sure that the people who made these films were like a bit annoyed at like, well, don't put my thing about weird eye medicine in with the other ones about weird eye medicine because it looks like I've copied. But there was one
Plagiarism.
it was kind of like a mini Black Mirror type episode where a woman is like a tech reviewer and she's got these we're in the future where you can have, so you know, like the Google goggles where it projects things, you know, those kind of dealies, but they're contact lenses and they're like AI powered. So she's getting back on the dating scene after her husband died, and she's sitting with this guy, and the AI is telling her what to say, and like the guy knows it, so he knows she's using this technology, and it was really creepy. It was definitely more of a horror sensibility.
That is a Black Mirror episode.
Yeah, well, it's not. It's
the
not.
Exact synopsis of a Black Mirror episode.
I've probably just picked out the bit that is very much like that episode, but it was quite good.
We're not going to name and shame.
No, I feel bad for the people because it was a good film. But then her eyes get hacked, so she goes to the bathroom and all she can see is this guy going, 10 grand or I'll delete all your wedding photos, and she's like, shit. And it was quite good. That was quite scary because then he when this hacker's got control of her eyes, he puts her in like a sort of like an AI zombie attack, and there's like people running at her and stuff, and she's freaking out in this bathroom. But it was really good, and it was called, so people could go and watch it if they want. Let me go and find it.
Okay, well, we are naming and shaming.
We literally are.
I'll edit this heavily.
That should be our tagline for the whole show. I will edit. It's called First Sight. It's by Andrew McGee, UK 2024, and it's like 20 minutes long, but I thought it was really good. There were some other ones in that strand that
was a very clever idea.
It was genuinely, because it was quite funny at first. Like he talks about a book that he was reading. She goes, "Oh, that sounds like a really great book." And then she went, "And it's on sale for 20% at Book Barn," because she's got like a pop-up ad in her eyes. So there was bits of it that were quite funny, and then like it gets really like very quickly very, very creepy. And so that was a good little short film that I saw. And they don't really have very much in the way of horror. They put all of these, and I was going to all of these master classes going, maybe this guy's worked as a director of photography on a horror film and he hadn't, you know what I mean? I was like, I could mention that on a podcast. He hadn't. It's the cinematographer from Downton Abbey. I was like, I died to ask a question of like, is there any scary bits that you filmed in Downton Abbey? Why are you asking? No reason. No, I haven't got a podcast or anything. But yes,
somebody has stolen the gin from the Oh no!
But then I'm glad you mentioned your band you went to see, because that reminded me. I went to see a band called Dreamflower Collective play the album "Awaken My Love" by Childish Gambino. So they were recreating the album, playing it all in full, and we went to see that on Wednesday. But when I was listening to it, obviously, like to remind myself what it was like before I went to see it, I was playing like a horror game, and then I realized that there's quite a lot of horror references in that album. There's like a track called Boogeyman, there's zombies, there's Terrified, and I was like, oh, this is quite good actually. I feel like I've got a good soundtrack to our game. And we went to watch it, and it was like I'd also been teaching the week before about how you create fear in music, and we were looking at like Ghost Town by the Specials and stuff, and like all the different instruments, and I was like, oh, this is a great album for doing stuff like that. For like, he writes a song that's about like Zombies is about A&R people and business people trying to get your soul, but he's writing it as if there's zombies after him and stuff, and I was like, this is really good. But then there was a real life horror at that gig, because we got there and we were like, oh, this is perfect. So it starts at 8:00. The album's only 50 minutes. We'll be well done by 9:00, and we'll book the 10 to 10 train. Perfect. What a great night. They all trooped out at 8:00 and went, we'd like to start with some of our original material. And everyone was like, no, no. I thought it was like, I was wondering if it was just like a version of the film Trap, where there was someone in there that the police were trying to get hold of. And they're like, listen, we need a bit more time. You can't go into a 50-minute album. We need more time. And it's like, shit, roll out the originals. And everyone was like, some people obviously were like appreciative of it, but I was stood there going, boo, no. I need to get a train home. We ended up having to like leave 50% of the album because we'd run out of time. But yeah, that's a good album if you sort of like psychedelic funk. You can listen to that, and it is a bit of it's got a bit of it. Reminds me quite a bit of Zombie Woof by Frank Zappa.
Yeah,
like that track, like all the weird things that it does, and it's sort of like. And then I started listening to that on repeat. So I've a heavy sort of like horror themed music week. And then the real life horror of a band saying, I know you came here to hear this specifically, but here's a song we wrote last week. What? What? No, what? We no. It's like really upsetting for me.
So he goes to watch Bob Dylan, and he decides that he's not going to play his guitar. He's just playing the piano from now on. And like you only get to hear like his new album. And it's like, why, Bob? Why?
That's just you can almost hear it when you go to you go to a gig, and it's like, we will play some of our biggest hits later, but we're going to start off with some new material. No one's ever heard it, and it's like, well, don't do that. We don't know them. Like, put them out. We'll listen to them. We'll learn them, and then we'll watch them. But that's the fun of it. It's like, you've never heard this before, and nor has anybody else. So just listen, listen, and don't try and sing along. You don't know the words. It's like, the horrors of going to a gig. That's all I've got. Sorry.
Well.
I've been really busy, to be fair to me. I've been really busy.
No, I was going to say my week in horror isn't great because I've had guests staying with us.
That's horror. That's horror. We've mentioned that before. That's real life horror, isn't it? Like, I forgot I'd invited someone to stay and Emma's spare room's full of shit. It's like, oh no. Oh, there goes my weekend.
So not horror related, but I guess the same issue with a band. So we went to watch Pearl Jam play at Gold Coast, and it's like it's a weird time for them to do it because it's storm season here, but we had full on crazy end of the world storms, torrential rain, lightning, striking the ground, just nuts, strong winds. Anyway, we're sat here waiting for it to get cancelled. And they were like, no, authorities have said good to go. So there was even like some Queenslanders walked in and gone, nah, she'll be right. So
just tie it to this floor, mate.
we got there and we're like walking through these massive big puddles, and it's like, pouring down everything. And on the drive there, it was like, are we even going to get there alive? The storm was that bad. And it was like severe weather warnings and stuff in effect. And this is for a state that gets cyclones. They were like, severe weather warnings, make plans now, sort of thing. And anyway, we get there and it dies off a bit. The Pixies come on and play, which is awesome. And then before Pearl Jam comes on, they get these, what I will call first Australians, for the benefits of everyone else. They have these two Aboriginal guys come on, these elders, and they do this. They start teaching you all the words and what it means and blah, blah, blah. And then they do this, like a little ceremony. And he goes, All right, so that was a ceremony just to get rid of the storm. So storm's gone now, no more issues. You can watch Pearl Jam. Have a good night, everyone, and they go off. And for the rest of the night, against all odds, it's a clear sky. Like there's like some very, very light rain that the English people call spitting very, very late on in the night just before we left. And that was it. The whole thing was done. And I was like, ooh, that was a bit eerie. That's pretty cool.
If I was in the Pixies, I'd be like, mate, where were you 40 minutes ago?
Yeah.
Like you let us do our set, nearly fucking electrocuting ourselves in the pouring fucking rain. And then it's like, oh, Pearl Jam are up. Let's get rid of the storm. I mean, fuck that. I'd be having words with them fellas backstage.
I guarantee those guys are like, Pearl Jam? Hey, can we go on for a minute?
We've
They can do what they want. Other than that, Pete did tell me, and I've heard this story before. He told me we went to this nice old English pub up on Tambourine Mountain, and we got into the subject, and he was talking about ghosts, and he told me this ghost story, and I knew it. And anytime anyone says anything about a ghost story, it's the first story that always comes to mind. And he was saying when he was younger, I think he was staying in his stepdad's house, which was in, I'll find out where it was for the socials. He's not online now, but it's in this like rural Northern English area, and he's in this really old cottage, and he's sleeping upstairs, and he sees this cloaked figure he thinks is a woman walk in from the door across the room to the foot of his bed, like not towards his bed, just across the room. And as soon as she gets to like the middle of the foot of his bed, she just drops through the floor. And he's like, Mom.
Eek.
But he's like, Pete is not the person to make up shit. Like, I get, if he was either dreaming or he 100% saw this happen. That's the sort of person he is. And I was like, oh yeah, I remember that. That's really stuck with me. Because it's the only person who's ever actually told me a ghost story, anyone I knew. And it's the only ghost story I've ever actually believed. I mean, like, yep. That happened, whether it was a dream, bad dream, or whatever, or actually he was wide awake. That 100% happened. So yeah, that was scary. I've got a good Finnism just to round it out. I watched a movie that I've been meaning to watch for a while. I'll start off with this wonderful Finnism. I think I'll go and do one of these every time because they're just so good. So I say, we've got this little trampoline outside, and I'm busy doing stuff. I say, Finn, can you help Melody when she wants to get out of the trampoline? And he just, not even looking up, he goes, yeah, I'll be able to tell from her terrified screams. Oh.
It's like so unbothered.
I love one every episode. He's a monster. And then the other thing is, I watched a movie I mean to watch for a long time. Lovely, Dark and Deep. So it's not new anymore. It was on Shudder. So it's a bit of a... it's one of these ones that looked really good and seemed really interesting, and something that could be genuinely be scary, even though it was like a class as like a folk horror sort of thing. So it's about this woman who takes this job as a park ranger in the same park where her sister went missing when they were children, and apparently there's a lot of missing people. So anyway, she's taking this job to be a park ranger, but it seems like she took it just to try and see what happened to her sister, or to help other people and figure out what it is, why people are going missing. From then on, it's some weird, like, psychological horror, I guess. You don't really ever know what's going on. It's all a bit weird. One of my favorite things was, it's something to do with granite, like the rock granite. And wherever they say, wherever there's a lot of granite, there's always these problems, and like people go missing, and there's all these issues and weird stuff, and radios don't work, and it's something to do with the granite. And I'm like, they're really trying to blame all this crazy stuff on granite anyway. So obviously, as a dad, I had said, don't take it for granted about 9 times before the halfway point of the movie. And then there's one bit where a radio starts screaming and going nuts, and she goes, piece of shit. And I'm like, from my intensive training as a paranormal investigator, that radio is your best tool right now. Don't take it for granted. So anyway, it's all a bit weird, and I didn't think it wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. It's one of these like, keeps you guessing and make your own mind up and all that sort of, some of them work that way, and some of them is just clear that they're just lazy or they don't really have a story and they're just doing it. They're just going ahead anyway because they've got the money now, maybe. It was okay. And it ends with like just some guy stood up by some granite. And he's just like, it's just some mental effect it has on them or something. And it's just all these people go missing. Anyway, I still don't really know what it was about.
The thing is, it doesn't know, does it? Yeah, granite
No, it
doesn't
doesn't.
do that. So I'd understand if it was they discovered some kind of new rock, but they haven't.
Stood in your kitchen and you're like, where's Kath gone? It's these worktops. Curse the man who put these granite worktops.
Are you sure you actually watched a horror film, or were you just like drunk watching like an infomercial for like Stone?
No, I don't trust this stuff.
I'm gonna make this better. Talk to me about rock supplies, you liar.
So yeah, not the best. It's one of those that's like, especially at the time when I first saw it, I was like, oh god, this looks awesome. I can't wait to watch this movie. Finally did, and I was like, oh well, wasn't really worth the wait. Unless I completely misunderstood it, because it's one of these movies you watch and you're like, hang on, what happened? What was this about? I don't understand.
Yeah, I watched one like that at the film festival actually, which was in that screening. It was basically like two surgeons, and they're doing an eye transplant, and that was it. And then there's like a female one, and she's kind of weird. She's kind of like, I don't know, like teasing the other guy who's like a medical student, and then it just sort of ends, and you're like, what? And it had Julia Davis in, who's quite a well-known actress, but it genuinely felt like you've just watched the first 10 minutes of something that's 30 minutes long, and they haven't actually got to the story. They were just like, she's just used, I don't know, like, oh, I bet you don't like eyes, do you? And he's like, they're fine, whatever. Oh, have you ever been near a dead body? She's all just really creepy, and she's just acted dead fucking weird, and then it just ends, and I was like, what a waste of time. What a waste of time. Like, you should have stopped that at the script stage. Someone should have read that and gone, nothing happens in this film.
Yeah.
Nothing happens. It's not creepy.
Are we missing a page?
Yeah. Have you left like half of it on the photocopier and then produced the whole damn thing? Do you know what I mean? Like,
was this written by Cormac McCarthy by any chance?
Cormac McCarthy presents Eyes.
I just actually not long ago finished reading one of his books called The Passenger, and it's perfect for this. It seems like the whole point of the story is, so he's a salvage diver, the main character. They get paid by somebody. They don't know who it is, and it's all a bit weird, but they take the money and do it. And they do this dive to go to this plane that's crash landed, and it's under the sea. They open it, and there's passengers inside. They're all dead, still fastened in their seats. One of them's missing, and it was a passenger who was definitely on the plane, on the manifest. They're missing, and there's no way they could have got out, blah, blah, blah. And then he keeps getting visited by these like government spooks about it. Turns out it's got absolutely nothing to do with that whatsoever. And that's the last you hear. And then his friend, who he's on the dive with, goes and does another dive somewhere for some other sketchy character and ends up dying mysteriously in this like underwater, like diving bell kind of thing, like a more modern version, doing some welding. And that's the last you hear of that. The rest of it's about his crazy sister who committed suicide, who he had some unhealthy relationship with. And then it just ends. And I'm like, what the fuck was that about? There was no story. It's just some rambling thing about some guy's life, and then it ends. There's literally no story or no point to it at all. I still don't know what it's about.
He probably like watched a documentary about saturation diving and was like, oh, that's a good subject, and then just got bored halfway through.
Yeah, sounds like it. He just keeps getting bored. Oh, that's not a good idea. I'm doing this now instead. Air
Crash Investigations, that's a good show. I know what I can write about.
I did also read this. Look, I say I read them. It's a book on tape. But I had read to me. It's called Whale Fall. Bizarre thing. I think a lot of people have seen this thing on. It was like something on Facebook or Instagram, and it was this graphical representation, like an animation of what would happen if a whale swallowed someone. And it was exactly ripped off this book that came out. It was also quite popular. It's not good, called Whale Fall, where this diver who's searching for his dad, who was a diver and went missing. So he goes looking for him and ends up by chance getting tangled into a giant squid, and then the whale eats the squid and he gets pulled in as well. And it's this long story about him trying to survive inside this whale and in getting digested in these various stomachs, and he gives up for dead a few times. Then at the end, I won't give it away, but at the end it just goes fucking bananas, absolutely crazy bananas, talking whales and all kinds of crazy shit at the end. I was like, I couldn't even see the road because I was crying from laughing so much at this bizarre ending to this book. But yeah, you should definitely, if you can get it on like Audible with the zillion credits you've got, because you never buy any books on it, like I don't. It's a very, very interesting read, and there is legitimately a lot of sort of horror in it because he is being eaten and digested by a whale, and he's desperately trying to get out of there and survive, and he gives up a few times, and it's a bit of a roller coaster ride. But the end, the end just makes it all worthwhile. You will not regret spending that one credit on that book.
So this is the one by Daniel Kraus, who wrote, not the one by a woman called Elizabeth O'Connor, who writes a coming of age tale about a Welsh woman in the 50s. Be careful with that one, because you're gonna get halfway through and go, "Where's the fucking whale?" I'm definitely gonna be like, "Where's the whale? Where's the whale?" Make sure it's the one you get by Daniel Kraus, because I nearly just did the same thing. I literally nearly just bought it. Because I was like, I'd like to read
the
that.
Daniel Kraus one has got a picture of a diver and a whale underneath him, like the Jaws thing. So it's a pretty easy. I avoided catastrophe quite easily. But
the Elizabeth O'Connor one only came out like this year, so it's very much more. It's much more prominent in like the search engine. Yeah. It's like, all right, okay. And then when does she get eaten? That'd be great. I might go and find this woman, Elizabeth O'Connor, when she's doing like a book tour or like signing, and go, "Can I ask a question? There was no whale in it. When does she get eaten by the whale? Is that in like a sequel? Because I was waiting for that bit and then it never happened. There was no whale. Where was the whale?"
You got like a t-shirt with whales on it and a hat that's a whale. Excuse me, I have a question.
Is it about whales? Yeah, I actually do have a t-shirt with a whale on it.
I knew it.
But I think you're thinking of that part in Pinocchio where Geppetto gets eaten.
Well, I do love that that's just part of like, oh yeah, you get swallowed by a whale. You've got ages to sit in its stomach and just have a chat with people and see what else is down there. You just walk around like it's a big cave.
I don't know if it's that or it's another like really old cartoon and they're actually sat on like a wooden table and chairs having dinner inside this whale.
Yeah, there's a Decemberists song as well where two people who are like enemies get swallowed by a whale and he's like, "I'm going to kill you in this whale."
Looking around his stomach like, krill. Like those things that keep cans together.
I could make them into a net to catch fish and eat the fish. I'd be fine inside a whale.
I think 6-man holder can catch one fish. $1 million.
Blood vessels the size of a man. Let's put this to the test.
So that's kind of my rambling, piece together, Frankenstein-esque week in horror.
Da, 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 da.
I was really scraping the barrel this week.
Our barrel has been thoroughly scraped. I'm really glad that actually like Jed went to some big horror exhibition, and then so like, I guess I feel like the barrel was already quite scraped. You know when you've like you've run out of margarine, but you've just made toast, and you're like, oh shit, right, okay, we're really gonna
wiping the bread around.
That's what I was doing. Like, don't need to wash this before recycling it. There's nothing left on it. Not a single drop of oil is on this fucker.
There's always some left on the bottom of the lid.
That's a gold mine, isn't it?
I was like to Kath, I was like, I don't have anything for my week in horror, really. I was like, I've had such a nice week.
Yeah, I know.
Can't let that happen again.
as we get closer to Christmas now, it's like I'm going to be quite depressed every week. I want to watch It's a Wonderful Life. I don't want to watch Terrifier 3, but I have to.
If Christmas gets too much for me, I might just push someone in front of a car or something. Have I got a week for you?
Get myself arrested. I'm phoning this in from the prison phone. I needed something for the podcast.
Your audio would be better.
Oh.
Meow.
The good people at Beringer are going to be very upset with you, Paul.
Anybody who's like listening from the UK, if you're listening from outside the UK, you probably won't have the slightest idea.
Tune out now.
What we're you can just leave. But these are two things that are uniquely Britishly specific. So, a while ago, I was invited to go paintballing, and I was like, "No, I'm not going." And I was like, "Why are you not going?" I was like, "Well, for one, I don't ever want to go because I was traumatized when I was a child." And they're like, "Why do you not want to go paintballing?" And the reason that I don't want to go paintballing is literally because there's an episode of Biker Grove, which was a children's soap opera, where I think it's Ant McParklin, wasn't it? And he basically he had to go paintballing, and then within a split second, he like takes off his glasses, like the paintballing goggles, and then gets sprayed in the eyes. But I've just posted a picture of what it actually looked like from this was like prime time TV, and just literally the episode's end to him like screaming in pain, going, "My eyes, my eyes!" And then the other one comes in, I think it's Deck in it, and he goes, "He can't see. Can he see?"
That'd be a great Halloween costume, I've just realised. You only need a tracksuit. You just need a tracksuit, short dark hair, and then some yellow face paint, and that's it'd be like, "What are you? What are you?" And then you just have to scrunch up your eyes and go, "Ah!" And everyone would be like, "Whoa, that's brilliant."
Well, you then have to describe it in detail and then sit them down to watch the episode.
No, I think everyone of our age would know exactly what you were. I think everyone would know.
There was a lot of mad deaths in Biker Grove, to be fair. There was one guy who got like electrocuted by a tape player, and he just like went to put a tape on his, like, boom, you're dead. Dodgy electrics.
I remember some infomercial thing for kids, or some like public safety thing for kids, where there's this kid who gets out of the bath and then goes to play his guitar and gets electrocuted.
Oh, there's loads. I've got a whole DVD of those. The DVD's called Charlie Says, and it's all public information films from the 70s
it's
and 80s.
It's a cat, wasn't it? Charlie says.
Charlie says, "Don't always tell your mummy before you go off somewhere." And there's like a man in it with like an overcoat and a hat who looks like really, and it's like, "Why don't you come and do you want to come and see some puppies?"
And I think you've actually it shows how good that we gel together on this podcast, because it feels like you've read my mind, because the next section of Childhood Nightmares is actually a public information film by the Railway Board that they used to show in schools.
Was Donald Pleasance in it?
No, but it was called Robbie. Well, there's two versions of this. One is narrated by Peter Purvis from Blue Peter, and the other one is about is narrated by Keith Chegwin. And there's lots of different like yeah, but like the whole point of it is like it's about not messing around on the railway. There's a few different versions of it, but the whole point of it is that Robbie gets his boots caught in the the railway, in like the rail on the railway, and he ends up getting his feet cut off by the train. But the whole point of it is that the public information film ends with I can only find the Keith Chegwin one on the end of it, and he goes, but it has Robbie being carried to his bed by his mum. She's like literally like holding him in her arms, and then she puts him on the bed, and it goes, and then it has like a really like it's Keith Chegwin, so it's not a sad voiceover. And he goes, nobody knows why Robbie kept his football boots on the back of the door.
I remember that.
Keith, I don't think you've quite got the tone right.
He's like, what the fuck? And it's just like a kid like in bed, just like staring at some football boots on the back of the door because he's no longer got feet. And this is what they showed you in British schools, so you didn't go on the railway.
Reading about this, they did 3 different versions to demonstrate the dangers of both electrified and non-electrified lines. It's like, fuck, what does the electrified one show? Its kid explodes or something.
Deep fried Robbie.
There's one called Apaches, which you can watch online through the BFI. You can watch it for free. And it's like from 1977. It's like 27 minutes long. And it's basically like, it was based on, the title is Apaches. And it's like they're all playing cowboys and Indians. And but it shows kids getting killed by lots of different types of farm equipment. And
Oh yeah,
like,
I think I've seen that.
And that's a very like. And you know, I was thinking like that's what we used to get shown.
There's one bit where a kid goes through like a hay baler.
Do you know what the like millennials have got when if we've got that all the public information films, they've got all the Final Destination films. That's their equivalent. It's like I'm not driving behind a truck with a load of logs on it. Fuck that. I'm turning off.
Don't get on a plane ever.
Not standing on a railway platform because a train will come past and hit a bit of metal and it'll cut my head off. I'm not watching it.
That's it.
They don't need it because every 5 minutes they've got a suggested advert on Instagram going, "Are you being groomed?
Are you near some farm?
Have you had a message from somebody who you aren't sure is real? Please consult a parent or ask a friend."
I was watching. So this is a bit of a tangent, but I was watching an episode of Ink Master, and they were doing portraits of service dogs. And there was this woman who had schizophrenia, and one of the things that her service dog told her was whether a person was real or not. That was what the service dog was trained to do. And I was like, I never really thought about that. And she's like, yeah, sometimes I see a person and I'll be like, is that real? And the dog will be like, no, there's no one there. Or like, yeah, that's a real person. Yeah, that's a police officer. Like, okay. Oh, then she'll carry on talking to them. I don't know how they've trained a dog to do that.
Like, now, Rover, is this a real person? Woof. He goes, is this not a real person? Woof, woof. Every time he actually sees a fake person. What if you had a sadistic dog who's just like, yeah, that's not a real person, but I'm going to tell it is.
What if you could...
What if you had a racist dog?
1 bark for not a real person, 2 barks for real person, 3 barks for black person. let's get away. Let's get away, Mum. A racist or a dog that could see ghosts. It gets really confused. It's like, ooh. It's like,
I literally call it ghost mutt.
Ghost mutt.
The dog who can see ghosts.
A ghost detector dog. That'd be good, wouldn't it? You could send like drug detector and bomb detector dogs. You could take a dog into a haunted house and just get it to go and look for the ghosts. You'd be out of a job, Paul.
Well, yeah, well. All this expensive equipment, I'm thinking of getting out of it right now. But, you know, people say like and we've had this happen with our dogs before, they'll just look at something and react to something that's not in the room.
Yeah.
You know, they'll just look at me to just space, and they'll like react to it like it was a person or there's something there, or they'll follow something with their eyes or bark. And it's like, don't fucking do that, you.
It's like, yeah, is this a job for the surveyor or is this a job for the Ghostbusters? Which one is it? Like, is this a bit of water you can hear running inside a brick wall, or is it something from another dimension?
There's some weird like frequency of light you can see that we can't, or is that a murderous ghost?
Yes, Sam, our old dog Sam used to do that all the time. He'd just suddenly like stand up and then look into the top right hand corner of the room and he'd be like,
yeah,
what are you doing? And he'd just stare at it. He wasn't really a barky dog at all. So he'd just stare at it. And then suddenly he'd go, yeah, I guess it's okay, and lie down. You're like, what? What is it? What are you looking
Let me make that decision.
You don't know you're a dog. You're stupid.
Cats will just stare at a wall. You'd be like, your mum will come over and be like, it's not a ghost. It's just a rat that's died in the wall.
The ghost of a rat that died in the wall.
Cats are more practical. Practical cats. Hey, we had practical cats.
We did have
previous episode.
Just another thing to touch on in regards to that public information film.
Sorry, Chet.
in the most British way possible. Of course, this is about trains. Of course, on the Wikipedia, it will tell you what trains were used in the program. It'll have a fucking list of the trains. Well, like the train spotters will be watching it. Like, I think that was a a GWR 6000 class King George V.
They're the real stars.
It's literally, I reckon it's just like loads of trains. The reason we have Wikipedia is that there's loads of train spotters who just want to write about trains, and then they just go and investigate stuff. And they're like, was there a train in this? There was a train in that film. Right, I'm going to write about this obscure film from 1931.
I watched the documentary about ages ago about this. Apparently, like a bunch of students created a fake Wikipedia page for the inventor of the toaster, and like it even got like cited in like journals, and even with a petition to like, because it was a Scottish person, there was even petitions to like put them on the Scottish like banknotes. After a while, Wikipedia were like, "Yeah, this isn't real." The toaster was invented by an American. This isn't true. Some random guy, but they wrote about all these random patterns that didn't exist, and just like was an absolute troll. And he was cited in like TED Talks and all sorts about the inventor of the toaster. It's like, it's not real. You just got all your information from a fake Wikipedia page. Don't mess around on the trains, or you'll end up with your feet cut off.
There was a great
Or worse.
There was an episode of Inside Number 9 which called The Wise Owl, that was like taking off those information films, and it turns out like the guy who was doing the voiceover for it was quite famous. Like there was some I don't know, he mistreated his kids and stuff. But that's a really good episode of Inside Number 9. It's got like, because they created all of the shit animations that look like a wise owl going, twit you, don't go near the fire, and like all this kind of shit. But I love the Charlie like was sampled in a Prodigy song, and I remember playing that. So one of the kids in my class was playing that song. I was like, do you know where that sample's from? And we went down a proper rabbit hole that day. I'm sure
you led them down there, didn't you, Kirsty?
I certainly did, with a big torch. I'm pretty sure a rumour went round after that. It's like, listen, if you want to distract Kirsty from what she's actually teaching you, mention public information from the 70s. Kirsty, what's a public information vote? Right, get YouTube up. Here we go, kids. This first one is called Apaches. Now we'll talk about the language used later on. We don't say cowboys and Indians anymore, do we, children? No, we don't. Anyway, this is from 1977, and look, he's fooling about with a tractor. That's not going to end well, is it? Let's have a look.
What's this email about? Curriculum. Shit.
Content warnings. My dad was run over by a tractor. Like, oh, for God's sake, is that in your notes? Well, then I'm not interested. Before I start this film, has anyone ever been molested? Because I'm not having a repeat of last week.
And you're like, right, go and stand outside.
Yeah, literally like, right, fuck off. Go to the library for an hour. I know you shouldn't. I genuinely have had this issue. One of my jobs is to teach like a sort of PSHE type lessons, and it was like, right, go and teach a lesson about terrorism and mention the Manchester bombings. I was like, I don't want to, because guess who's in my class? 16-year-old fucking girls. They were all there. Like, I'm not doing it. And they were like, you've got it. Well, just mention it at the beginning. And literally, I said, was anybody anywhere near the bomb at the Manchester? And like 4 people put their hands up, like, do you know what? Let's just not do that. Let's just not do what I had planned. And they were like, why? Why are you asking? It's like, no reason. Anyway, study skills. Who knows how to write a paragraph?
Let's get pizzas.
Yeah, why did you stray from your lesson plan, Kirsty? It's like to avoid PTSD in half my class. Okay, so we've got a tarot reading from a long-time listener, Natalie, whose wedding I went to, and it was my week in horror.
Yeah,
remember Natalie?
I remember.
So she's given me a scenario.
I sincerely hope it's nothing to do with her marriage.
I'm thinking of leaving my husband. Should I give the presents back or not? It's not even been a year yet.
Shuffle the deck.
If I get a Facebook message in the early hours of the morning saying, "Can you just take out the bit where I say it's Natalie?"
This is N from London, whose wedding I went to. I mean, or maybe didn't go to. I don't know. I've
So,
seen them.
Mr. X and Mrs. Y.
That's too obvious. Let's just call them Nick and Natalie. So Natalie has a quandary that she wants some help with the tarot cards. So she's wondering.
And a quandary is different than a quarry.
Yes, don't go and
For
play
listeners.
in a quarry. That's dangerous. There's a film about that on the internet. But don't go. If you want to play in a quandary, you've come to the right place. So Natalie is a photographer. She used to that was her job. She was a photographer for Kerrang magazine.
Oh fuck! Really?
Yeah, she's cool.
Wow.
And then she also worked at a company which printed tickets out. So less, and then
Less impressive.
slightly less impressive. But
Were they tickets for like concerts or?
Sometimes they
Oh,
were.
well, there you go.
So she had a baby, and now she's going back into the job market. So
Whoa.
she's saying, if I should I keep trying to get a job in the industry I want, or just give up and find a job, any job? Do you know what I mean? So she's wondering, like, do I be picky and try and go for the industry that I want, or do I just get literally anything just to get back in the job market? So she has requested.
Kids are absolute coffin nails.
She. No offense to little Max, Natalie's son, Natalie's cousin now. So she's gone with not inverted, inverted, and not inverted. She's already chosen the direction of her cards. So let's have a little look at this. So we have fire is one of the cards, which has got Frankenstein on it, and
that's a heavy card,
and his monster. Mm-hmm. There you go.
No, very good.
You stupid pedants, I hate you. And we've got hunger, which is Night of the Living Dead is on that card. And we have nature, which is the birds is on that card. Okay, so let me get my let me tap into my cosmic brain thing. So fire, let's have a look for fire.
Are you putting on a witch's hat from last Halloween? With a question mark on the front?
It's not from last Halloween. It's from 10 years ago Halloween. I often wear this hat. It's what I wear in class sometimes.
It's my thinking hat.
It's my thinking hat. Okay, so fire, Natalie has asked for this card to be read as not in. So upright. So this is Frankenstein, the fire card. It says, it wasn't your decision to burn everything down. Misunderstanding, miscommunication, assumption of the worst, fear, ignorance, this is the kindling. And while it can take a village to really stack all of that up, once one person puts a torch to it, it'll all end in flames. Consider, though, that fire can also bring rebirth. An ash-nourished forest grows again. It can mark a new beginning. That's interesting, isn't it? So the reading from this card with regards to Natalie's job, it says...
They're both sides of it. They're both extremes, though, really, aren't they? On on both sides of the coin, really.
They are, yes.
It could be awful, or it could be really good.
Precisely. So the upright reading, which is not inverted, says, "Let it all come down. Something new will arise." That suggests that you should just just throw caution to the wind and get yourself the job that you really want. I would say that's what that means.
Yeah.
Something new will come out of that. The second card that she has picked is hunger, which is the Night of the Living Dead card. It says, sometimes it may feel like everyone wants a piece of you. The appetites of others can limit your freedom, leading you to create personal barricades. But beware, a safe space can become as much of a trap as a refuge if you don't take heed of who you let inside. As she would like that to be reversed. So it says, not everything is your problem to solve. That's quite interesting, isn't it? It sounds like it's a very much Natalie's problem, like which type of job, but maybe it isn't. Maybe somebody else is involved. Something to think about there, Natalie. And the third card, which is...
Well, your blood-sucking family.
Yeah. The fact, like, why don't you put, like, get the kid to get a job? How old is he? He must be, like, mine ready now, mustn't he? 10? Something like that. 9 or ready. Mine ready, I would have thought. 7 to 10.
Strong back lad.
Get Max down a mine. Is my advice. And the third one is the nature card, which is the birds.
Chimney sweep.
Chimney sweep would be perfect. Yeah, he's got quite a good mop of hair as well, so I feel like that's useful in a chimney sweep. Kind of drags some of the soot off. So this is the birds card, the third one, which is upright. She wants this read. So problems of a feather may flock together, and while just one may seem manageable, if many descend upon us simultaneously, we can feel beset by an irresistible force of nature. When complications peck and scratch at us from all times, it can be hard to know where to turn or what to do. But take comfort that as suddenly and as mysteriously as a flurry of problems can arise, their departure can be equally abrupt. And so the advice is actively meet each situation as it comes. So to sum up, I believe that my advice from the cards is that you should, if you see keep browsing the jobs and wait for something interesting to pop up that you think I would want to do that. And also enlist other people and say, use your network of contacts and say, we've got a big network of contacts, and say, I'm looking for a job in this area. Can you help me out with that? Because it also says that it is not all just your problem. So use your contacts, reach out and say, I'm coming back into the job market. I want this kind of job. Will you help me? And then when something comes up, grab it. That's my advice.
That's better than what I got from the cards.
Well, you're not a licensed tarot reader. So you've got
your family.
You've got
Put your dreams first, and use the backs of those who leech you.
Yes, don't listen to Paul's advice. It's not like he's a family man or anything, you know. It's not like he's married with 2 kids.
He needs one of them dogs that tells you if people aren't real.
I need one of those dogs that tells me if my wife's outside the door while I'm recording or not.
Kids are like coffin nails. Oh, sorry, Kath, what was that? I'd love a coffee, thank you.
What's that, boy? I should burn down the house with everyone in it and then escape in the car and spend all the savings to go work in a mine.
Am I going to get off a plane in Bali and it's just you? It's like, where's Kath and the kids? It's like, they won't be joining us. It's just me.
Where's a hotel? No, I live here now. You'll be joining me in my hut.
Hotels were really more Kath's department.
If you see a gecko, grab it. I've not eaten in days. Wow, we actually got a twisted tarot out. This is 2 out of 5 so far. I'm glad I didn't spend too much time on the music for that segment. If you're listening to this, I know you've got a problem. Everyone has problems. And if you're listening to this podcast, you've got more problems than the average Joe. So
yeah, definitely.
Send us a message and we'll try and fix your life, even if that fixes get rid of your family.
Our last 2 as well have been genuine problems. We're also up for nonsense. Yeah. We've just got some nonsense.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll take what we can get.
I was quite surprised that I was giving real advice to people. Being as I am just a person who was gifted a box of tarot cards and has the ability to read.
You're not gifted. You were gifted
I was gifted the cards, yeah.
We should have a disclaimer.
I almost took them back and got a pencil case.
I am not a tarot reader. For everyone gets upset.
That dead moth should have been a warning to all of us.
Welcome to Needful Things.
One of the neighbours upstairs, they gifted our dogs like an advent calendar. They saying they made them for like anyone who has a dog in the building. I think there's like 3 dogs, so we've got 2 and there's across the hall. They made the dog an advent calendar, and I was like, I wonder what other occasions have advent calendars if it's just Christmas. And apparently Halloween advent calendars is a thing because obviously America. And I saw these 2 kids, and it's like the most wonderful time of the year. But this is what's inside the advent calendar. It's just like a bunch of like random horror characters, but it's like these are really not appropriate for children.
Yeah, they won't know who any of them are. Hopefully,
I know.
I don't know who some of them are.
They got like Pyramid Head from Silent Hill. And I'm pretty sure the one stood next to Freddy Krueger is the seed of Chucky. They have like the child is like Glenn, who's like Chucky's son or daughter. It's like they don't even have that. They got like they've got Reanimator as well. It's like these little kids aren't watching Reanimator. They've got like Elvira and then a tiny like Pinhead.
Who's the guy next to Ghostface? With the glasses. Who's that meant to be?
That's from the Captain Spaulding from House of a Thousand Corpses.
That's the one I keep getting wrong, and I don't know who it is. All right, okay. I was thinking that as soon as I said it, I was like, all right, is that him?
They've got Pennywise, and then they've got like an oddly, like a different Pennywise, which is like not like the Tim Curry one, because that's obviously on the bottom row, but they've got like another like weird ginger clown.
It's like a girl. Like, I don't, it's like a girl Pennywise. I like the bride. I like the bride from Kill Bill. She's good.
Oh god, yeah, that's who that was.
See, the photo shows 2 like 8-year-old girls.
Yeah,
with the calendar.
I got Pennywise. I got Captain Spaulding.
Like I got the obscure child from The Seed of Chucky, which was a straight to DVD. The straight to DVD sequel.
Sorry, no, they haven't even used any like classic horror before they've started going to Seed of Chucky characters.
Yeah. Is that supposed to be Jason Voorhees?
I believe so.
That's terrible. That's not even a good one.
He looks like he's done his face like that mask in Beetlejuice where they like pull the face forward.
Yeah, I get the feeling because it was such a small, it doesn't actually look like a mask. Oh no, isn't that Michael Myers?
No, Michael Myers in the bottom row with the wrong coloured boiler suit on.
That's why I'm confused because he's...
Yeah, they're not great. Ed, take a letter.
We'll put it on Facebook and all of our listeners can rip it to shreds.
It's like they went to like Reanimator and like they've got 2 characters from the Silent Hill films. Freddy Krueger looks like a troll.
Freddy Krueger looks like he's just a man with a moustache. It's like a...
Where's his glove? He just looks like he's got like a metal arm.
Yeah, these are not great, are they?
No, but when I posted a meme the other day about the Welsh Christmas tradition, which is the Mary Lloyd with the horse skeleton. I was like, I wonder if they do like Christmas merch for that particular thing, and of course they do. And courtesy of Etsy, you can. What better Christmas decoration for your tree than dressing it up like a bunch of like spooky horse skeletons? There's a bunch of pictures of this actually in people's house. And they're like, oh, absolutely love sticking the skeleton horses around my tree, so I do.
That is definitely... Sometimes when I'm out looking at Christmas decorations, I just think, what can I buy which is going to make Lewis go, what the fuck is that? And I think I found it. The fuck is this horse skeleton? It's called...
I wouldn't think you'd need any help with that, Kirsty.
No, I can usually find something quite contentious. Getting cancelled in my own house.
You haven't lived until you've seen one of them go around a Welsh pub. Like, what's happening here? Everyone's just like, yeah, just let it happen. But yeah, those are the 2 things that I've got for needful things. A really shit advent calendar for kids. And, terrible, spooky Welsh horse decorations for your Christmas tree.
Kirsty?
Yeah, so I was looking at alternative horror themed Christmas presents for people, and Cameo have got a whole section on horror, so you could go on and you could get a little recorded message from someone in horror. But I've realized like I had to set the filter from high price to low price, because if you just put it on in general, there's just a load of idiot podcasters like us who you can pay £5 for them. For them to give you like a shout out, and it's like, we should be on here. We've got a podcast.
This is a perfect segue
to our advert. For if you send us £5.
You want a personalised reckoning.
But the highest, so one of the most expensive is Robert Englund, Freddy Krueger actor. So he will do you a little message, and he will say like, you know, Freddy catchphrases and stuff like that. But the most expensive one is someone called Isla Cervelli, who is in a film. She's in a few like shit horror films. She's in one called Stream, which is just like a really low budget horror film. She's in she's in some other stuff, and I think she's possibly made an error because she set her price as £792.
Wow.
I think that's slightly wrong because it's double what you would get for Freddy Krueger, and I don't know who this person is. But there's like
unless it was an agent suggestion or something, you're like, I'm not fucking doing that. Just put the price double what it should be.
I think that's quite
Let's price ourselves out.
Well, like, they do fluctuate in price, so you do sometimes see someone and it's like it was 20 quid or something, and now it's 150, and you're like, yeah, they're sick of doing these things now. They're sick you can get let's see, David Howard Thornton, who plays Art the Clown in The Terrifier. You could get Jason.
Is it just silence for him because he doesn't fucking say anything?
It's literally, it seems like it's him in like a weird in the mask. Sometimes he's got the mask on. Sometimes he's just got the little hat, the little tiny top hat. But but obviously it doesn't look like him, like the clown, because he's not in makeup. It's just a man, and it doesn't sound like him because he doesn't speak. So yeah, that's 158 quid if you want that pointless one. And there's loads and loads that you can get, but there's also a lot of you can get the two actresses who played the twins in The Shining for 99 quid. How effective that is now that they're
present day
70 years old. I don't know how.
You come and play with us.
That's actually more scary, isn't it?
It is.
David Arquette from Scream, obviously, like £79. Malcolm McDowell,
Christ.
Clockwork Orange, £79. Kane Hodder, £79. These are not cheap. Like but I got one for Lewis for his birthday from a comedian that we both like, and he'd obviously just sort of heard about this thing, and he's like, "Oh, I could sign up to that." I paid like 20 quid, and I was one of the first people to get a message, and he sent it, and I was like, he filmed it with just himself, like shirtless in bed, just going, "All right, Lewis, happy birthday, mate." And it was just like, it was really like it's a kind of video call that you don't want to get. And it was only that in fact it was this comedian Jamie Hutchinson that it was like, he was like, "Oh, that's cool." But I just loved the half-assed nature of it. He was like, "This is from Kirsty, happy birthday, mate." Like, and he just ends up giving him the advice to take a load of drugs. So I was like, "Happy birthday."
No one told him what to do.
I think it is in character, to be fair. Like, I think that is what he would be like if you just met him in the street and went, "Can you film an advert for me, mate?" He's like, yeah.
A friend of mine from uni, he went on the business, like there's two options on Cameo. One's like a shout out just for like personal use, like someone's birthday, but you can do an option for business. And my mate paid the business one, so he got Barry from EastEnders to advertise his laptop. And he's like, he goes, "Hi up everyone, this is Sean Williamson, also known as Barry from EastEnders, telling you to like," I can't even remember what the hot sauce was called. He goes, "Go on down to the hot sauce. Oh, Pat, oh, what's up with the hot sauce, Pat? It's too hot." They go, "I got total range."
Oh, I really hope Paul, our dad, doesn't listen to this episode, because that's where our inheritance is going. If he thinks he can get someone famous to like do a shout out to his business.
I'll tell you what, I've had enough.
Spending hundreds of pounds on people going, "Premier photo on the mezzanine at Warrington Market for all your..."
That's Barry from EastEnders, that is.
He would 100%. He'd have one every single day.
Chuckle Brothers. Well, one of them.
Yeah. We're down to one on that.
This was something I saw on, I think, Instagram, and then I immediately looked online to see if I could buy it anywhere. It's a Godzilla money box.
Oh, I saw that.
It's a classic one where, yeah, the music it plays is incredible. It's got like 4 different songs, and they're all like the proper old Godzilla movie songs in it. They're awesome. I'll put some of the music on the thing. So sometimes he just does the monster voice, and sometimes he does the... And then he does another one. This one. How good is that?
That's so good.
It's got heaps of the songs. That's really cool.
I saw recently online a humidifier for plants, which was it was like a Godzilla, but instead of like the fire breath, it's just a load of steam.
Oh wow! Oh, I've got to get one of those. Finn absolutely loves Godzilla. Never stops talking about him. And he's like, if he had any wish, like when people say like, oh, if you had anything, or any wish, or what would you wish for? And it's always something to do with Godzilla. Like his answer to everything is Godzilla would, or Godzilla can. And the other one, supporter of the show since the beginning, my father-in-law, David Pierce, went to America to see Cass' brother, his son, obviously. And he got Melody this like voodoo doll toy that she absolutely loves and she calls Ollie for some reason. And he got me, it's a tile and it's got the 3 like skeleton mariachi things.
It looks like Funny Bones, but they went on holiday to Mexico. This was a dark house in a dark street, they say.
There's the racism we know and love from the podcast. We nearly missed it. We got it right in the end. Yeah, well done. Good process, everyone.
I'm a cowboy. What you talking about?